Good morning all. A solar sensor wall light, which is about 2 years old now, and it is starting to show its age. The solar panel has gone very cloudy, although it does still work. If I can cover that up and trigger it, all, no, 5 of the 6 LEDs are still working. Now, I've got 3 of these things outside. They all work fine, but they are all showing a bit of solar panel degradation, and I just wonder how far this cloudiness has to go before it starts to affect the efficiency of that solar panel. I suppose it's hard to tell in terms of efficiency. Really, it's when the thing stops working at all that's the issue. Okay, so let's just have a little look at the 3 of these things which are outside in the garden. So I've got 3 of these things. 2 of them are on my shed. So this one is solar sensor wall light with 10 LEDs, and the solar panel has bent a bit and lifted and is starting to go a bit cloudy. This one is the solar motion sensor light. That one's got 12 LEDs, and the solar panel is going a bit cloudy and is starting to show signs of moisture getting in at the edges. And this one is the solar sensor wall light, just 6 LEDs on this one, and the solar panel has gone quite cloudy on this. But it has to be said that all these 3, this one here and the 2 up on the shed, still work absolutely fine. So why am I looking at this 2-year-old solar sensor wall light? Well, because I've got a new one, and here it is. Now, it is big. Oh, it's very big. That's only half of it. Yes, it's absolutely massive. So this has been sent to me by Banggood. So thanks very much to Banggood. And I will put links down in the description below so that you can go and have a look at this item on their website. Now let's just give it a try. And for that, I'm going to use my old cutting mat to block the solar panel. Those are the 62 LEDs all lit up. Now clearly this thing has got a lot more LEDs than my original solar sensor light, which had just 6, and it's also got a lot more solar panel surface area than this one. What I really want to know is, has it got a bigger battery than this one? So this is going to have to come apart. Now on the rear panel, it's got a 4-position switch. It can be either off or 1, 2 and 3. 1 seems to be sensor activated. Actually no, that's the light hitting the solar panel which turns it off at daytime activated. Let's see what these 4 modes are. Right, we've got sensor mode. Automatically turns off during the day and will only turn on when it senses movement at night. Dim mode automatically turns off during the day and lights up at night in dim mode. During the night when it senses movement, the light will brighten to full brightness. And high mode, off during the day, lights up at night in full brightness, doesn't appear to need the sensor for that. So there are 3 modes and the switch is marked 1, 2 and 3. It just doesn't actually say which mode is which. So I think we'll have to assume that these are in order, 1, 2 and 3. Right, let's switch that off so that we can see what's going on this back cover. Now there are 2 sets of screws, one to take off this middle panel and then another set to take off the remainder of the panel. So I think we'll see what's under that middle panel first. Right, okay, well that's interesting. This has got 2 lithium-ion 18650s in it, 2200 milliamp hours each, so that we assume they're in parallel, and that adds up to 4400 milliamp hours. Now there's a rubber ring running around here. There is a gap in it up there, but then this is actually the top, so that gap's at the bottom, so that presumably acts as a drain hole for any moisture inside there to just run out from there. This plastic slider, which is the switch, is just loose and obviously goes down onto that, which is an actual switch. There's a bit of a wire showing there. Okay, let's take off the remaining screws and take a deeper look inside here. Okay, so it looks like I've disturbed another seal there, so I'm going to have to thread that back into there. Here's the lighting board, the LED panel. Here's the electronics board, and the solar panel is probably glued on top of here and comes through with a bit of hot glue. It doesn't completely fill that hole. So a close-up of the PCB here. Now you can see here there's a BISS 0001 Pir Sensor Chip. There's another chip up here, but it's got no markings on it. There's a DW06 down there, 6-pin SOT23. That is a cell protection chip to stop the two cells going under voltage, presumably, and over voltage when they're being charged. And there's a diode there and a few other resistors and capacitors. Right, let's take this PCB out. This screw cap does look alarmingly close to the legs on that chip, and if you put any pressure on it, it might even scrape the coating off the top of the copper tracks. So with this removed, we can now see on the other side of it we've got the pyroelectric sensor there, which just pokes through the hole into the domed lens thing. That's all that's on the back of that board. Now I can get the lighting board out. And the lighting board looks like this. Now I assume those LEDs are all in parallel, all 62 of them, because otherwise this would need to be generating a higher voltage if they're in series pairs. So I doubt they are, because I can't see any step-up circuitry on there. Yes, that's quite interesting. Now maybe these LEDs are in two groups, because it says here Q LED. LED positive is the here, and it runs through the middle and has the red wire attached to it. And then here it says W LED. So maybe these are in two banks, and maybe in the dim mode and the bright mode different banks are used, but we'll have to have a look at that when this is all back together again. Right, that's the LED board and the electronics board back together. I just need to push this seal back into that slot. And I'm going to try and arrange these wires so that they don't show up through the switch slot there, which they were doing before. And put the cells back in, checking very carefully for polarity, because I've been there before. But yeah, I think that's it. Now, what about these modes? Let's check them out. So I'm on mode 1, and as long as there's no light on the solar panel, that should be just triggered by the sensor. So let's wait for that to switch off. That'll take a few seconds. Okay, and when I move my hand in front of the sensor, that comes on at what appears to be full brightness. Right, let's switch to mode 2 and see what happens there. Just wait for the sensor to cut out. Right, that's on dim, and yeah, that's interesting because there is a funny pattern of LEDs. I'll probably trigger it when I move my hand. Yes, I have. So it's dim and not many LEDs on, a cluster in the middle and a couple of clusters at the edges, and as soon as you trigger the sensor they all come on bright. Let's try mode 3. That's mode 3. Now I think that's the one where it's just on all the time. They've gone a bit dim because it's got to make it through the night in this mode. There's no sensor in this mode. It's just down to whether or not there's light on the solar panel. If I tip that and put light on the solar panel, that turns off. No light on the solar panel, and it comes on, no sensor, but about half brightness. And just to check out that mode 2 configuration again, there's a bit of a shadow. Oh, that's a reflection off my arm. Of course, if I move my arm, they all come on at full brightness. Let me just try that again. Yes, there was some sunlight coming on and reflecting off my arm. So there are that's the configuration before it's been triggered, so it'll sit all night with that low level of lighting, and then when I trigger it with my hand, they all come on at full brightness. That's mode 2. And I've just discovered that there's a peel sheet over the front of the LED panel. There's no sense in making light travel through unnecessary layers, so let's remove that. So the big Arilux unit has those two 18650s in it, let's just remind ourselves what was in the small unit, and it's this small prismatic cell. There are no markings on it. It's not, I can't remember what the capacity is. Let's just see it next to a couple of 18650s. So the small unit has that sized cell, and then the large unit has two 18650s, a bit like these, so you can get a rough idea of the capacity difference from that. So I wasn't quite sure where to put that light, but I've stuck it on the shed, right in the middle of the door there. It's catching the sun nicely at the moment, but the sun will be down in a couple of hours, so I'll come back then and check out these dim and bright modes next to the other two sensor lights. Right, three sensor lights on the shed. The 62 LED Arilux is in the middle, and as you can imagine, it's very bright. The 10 LED unit is on the left. The one on the right is the 12 LED, but it hasn't actually come on yet because it's still sort of half light. So I'm just going to wait until it's a tad darker. Ah, right, okay. Because I haven't moved, the Arilux unit in the middle has now gone into its dim mode, and you can see the clusters of LEDs which remain on. The one on the right also has a dim mode, but it's still sensing daylight. The one on the left has gone off, so let me now move. Those two come on. Right, I'll just wait another 10 minutes or so until it's a tad darker. Right, here are all three lights, and if I stand still enough, which I am having difficulty doing because it's so cold out here, I'm actually shivering. That's what happens when they go into dim mode. The one on the right hasn't gone into dim mode quite yet. I'll have to wait a bit longer. Right, they're now all in dim mode, or at least the two on the right are. If I now move, they all brighten up. Okay, let's wait till they go dim again, and then I'll show the precise nature of the LEDs on the 62 LED Arilux unit. Right, there it is. That's the pattern of LEDs when it's in its dim mode. I've fixed the exposure on the camera, but it's very difficult to pick out the actual LEDs, and as you can see now I've triggered it, it's completely bleaching the camera out. Right, I'm going in, it's freezing out here. So there it is, that's the Arilux AL-SL06 solar sensor light with 62 LEDs. It's by far the biggest solar sensor light I've ever seen so far. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed that video, there are a couple more up here which may be of interest. If you want to subscribe to my channel, well, just touch my face, and then there's also the like and dislike buttons down at the bottom. Cheerio.